State Auditor Diana DiZoglio, there is a growing controversy, no pun intended, with the Cannabis Control Commission suspended chair Shannon O'Brien now suing the Treasurer Deb Goldberg for removing her from her post. Investigations are being called for. Some have already been done in some levels. Will you launch an audit into the commission?
Well, some folks may not be aware we actually just did complete an audit that was actually started with my predecessor. We wrapped up the audit that she actually began, and it did identify instances where there were expired products being sold to consumers. We asked the CCC to update their protocols to ensure that's not occurring moving forward, and instances where the Cannabis Control Commission was not.
But that seems to have aged. That audit might have aged out, might be too old, is what I'm saying. No?
Well, we're still working with the Cannabis Control Commission to make sure that they're updating their protocols and their procedures to ensure that, for example, pesticide contamination isn't reaching folks out in our communities with a public health issue. Obviously, it was found that the pesticide contamination wasn't being reported in a 72-hour reporting window like it was supposed to be being reported.
Do you see the need for a new audit, to launch a new one?
Well, I've been clear that we've already been contacted by Senator Moore, who has expressed serious concerns about some of the allegations that have been raised, and we are currently working with Senator Moore to address those challenges and those concerns. And I have said that, of course, we will be working alongside of his office and others who have concerns. We are conducting an audit already of all state entities, including the Cannabis Control Commission, regarding the potential misuse or abuse of taxpayer dollars to fund things like non-disclosure agreements, misappropriation of funds, that could be used during settlement agreements, so on and so forth. And those were the issues that were raised to us by Senator Moore's office. So we are absolutely going to be taking a look at those concerns that were raised around the CCC.
I want to ask you about non-disclosure agreements, because this has been sort of a cornerstone of your efforts up there. Back in 2020, you stood with former Fox anchor Gretchen Carlson to support a bill allowing victims to make NDAs public. We know agencies like the Massport Authority continue to use NDAs. Where is this headed?
So, like I just said, we're conducting an audit of state entities across Massachusetts to find out how much in our tax dollars is being spent to potentially silence victims of harassment, discrimination, and abuse of any kind. How these non-disclosure agreements and just settlement agreements in general can protect powerful perpetrators of abuse or even potential corruption. And we want to also take a look at some demographics around that. Who is getting silenced? Who is being told to be quiet? And why is that occurring? In the hopes that we can shine a light on some of these problematic areas in state entities to help prevent some of the abuses that occur in state government, prevent some of the abuses that are potentially occurring with your taxpayer dollars, and also make sure that we are not using our tax dollars to empower perpetrators of abuse and to protect them.
Do you believe that this is a major issue? Do you believe this is a major issue?
1,000%. I myself, as a legislative aide over 10 years ago, as a younger woman in my 20s, was actually required to sign a taxpayer-funded non-disclosure agreement regarding issues pertaining to sexual harassment just to collect my 6 weeks severance package. They would not, in the House of Representatives, release my 6-week severance package without me signing away my right to speak. We all know what happened. I subsequently ran for office and have been fighting for transparency and accountability around this issue. But in breaking my silence on the use of those agreements on the floor of the House of Representatives, I have had more folks than I can count come to me and let me know that they too have been forced into silence in our own state government and that we need to take action. So hopefully this audit will help to shine a light on where we need to take action and what kind of action we need to take. And it's my hope that we can help a lot of people while we save taxpayer dollars.
Great to have you in the chair. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks so much,
Great to see you.
everybody.
Our
Great
thanks to the
here.
State Auditor, Diana DiZoglio.